Good morning, everyone, from a very nice, warm winter's morning in Gauteng. My name is Elise and I'm the CEO of Expello. Thank you very much for taking time and joining us. I'm super excited to have my team online this morning as well. Armand co-director is here. His handsome face was there just now. You see, he's on there. I think a lot of people, especially in Gauteng, we're very, very excited to have him joining us. And he's going out and having cups of coffee. So please, if you need somebody to come to your office, if you're thinking, I haven't seen Expeller in such a long time in Gauteng, of course, we will tell you when we're in different provinces. Please, we want your cup of coffee. Please give the office a ring or phone Armand directly. I'm going to share his cell phone number at the end as well. But please contact him and he'll definitely come past. It's always great to see all the people. So, Lumi, welcome this morning from Elder Properties. You guys are always on the ball. I think your team has been early on, ready to be on. Good morning, Mark. Mark, that I actually do mention and recognize immediately. So, thank you for everybody for joining. I think the topic we are discussing today is such an exciting topic. But before we jump into it, I realized the month of May is absolutely amazing month. And why is that? Well, firstly, we want to say to Lazan, one of our amazing application team client services team members, it was her birthday on Sunday. So she's a year younger and the wisdom is just growing. So that was quite special in experience domain. Tamron from House Properties. I saw PayPal turn 20 years. Oh my goodness. And then Steve turned 60 years. That's big birthdays, hey? People, if you sort of want to think, okay, who's industry leaders, what's happening, I do think it's time to sometimes just to sit down and say, okay, how long have people been around? And of course, my absolute favorite month as well is Expello is 7 years old already. Time flies when you're having fun. Now, compared to Piprop and Steve, I mean, we are still babies. I mean, we've got now the kid, we've got the school years, we've got the varsity people, we've got the old age home. Sorry, Steve. Um, but we have been in the industry, and I do think if one looks at how things change, is amazing. I met with an agent yesterday as well, and I mean, she's been doing this for oh, I mean, almost 40 years. That's so long. And she learned so much. And to know how things, small tips happening is always making a big, big difference. So that's some of the birthdays. If you're on our portal, please remember to put in your birthday on your profile because we do send messages to people to say happy birthday. Sashin, it's his birthday actually today. And Savannah from NIB Properties also had her birthday this month. But actually, was Tanya online. She even got married this month. I mean, my month is an amazing month. So Tanya got married this month. So we even had a wedding in the well, not in the office, but our team members getting married, which is it just shows you that it's a month of celebrations, which I think is very, very special. What's happening in the month that I just want to share? One of our panel attorneys, Bruno Samau, he's having a session in Edenvale on the 28th of May. This session is, I think, going to be very helpful for business owners. They are really going to discuss how to de-risk your business. And both Sean, I mean, he's flying up. I mean, you're going to see him in person. Usually only the Cape Town people have the privilege of seeing Sean in person. But he's now in Gauteng. We're taking him out of his normal habitat and bringing him on this side. So he's there. So on the 28th of May, there's the link and the QR code. I see the link went weird. So please just make sure if you're not quickly typing this, that it says expello.link/BSA 28 May 24. Don't forget the 4, which is now ticked underneath the link. But a QR code is easy. If you want to snap it, that's now the time to snap it. That you can book your spot. They do have limited space. So don't leave it until the very last minute. The other event, which I'm super excited about, that is also coming up, is there's a mini boot camp that's happening in Gauteng, as well as that's also at the Buzz. It's on the 27th and the 28th of May. Now, this initiative is run by Sean. We are just coming in as sponsors, and of course, we're going to have an opportunity to share some knowledge. Um, but it is in the afternoon, so you can go do all your work quickly. And then they're going to start formally at 12:30 until 4 o'clock. So book your 2 afternoons out. Now, the 2 day session is valued at R1,000. However, you see now how naughty I am, because I forgot to share a the discount code. And I mean, that's very bad. I know it's Expelo's birthday, but I mean, we have to share. So if you are interested to attend this session, on the 27th and the 28th, and you want to make a booking, you can use the following code and you will get 50% discount. Is that not amazing? So you're going to only pay, I'm going to round it off. You're going to pay R500 to attend both sessions. I just want to drop that code quickly there. There we go. So I know it's not very creative, but I mean, we're here to do amazing stuff, not just always to be creative. Well, we creative. But yeah, Expelo 50% off. If you do this booking from Expelo's side, you're not going to pay the R1,000, you're going to get the 50% discount. So if you're in the environment, you have new people, you need people to sharpen up a bit. It's going to be intense, it's going to be to the point, and you're always going to learn something. So please join us there at the Buzz on the 27th and the 28th of May. I hope that's going to be of some value. If there's a question, Dala's always, my right-hand lady, I'm picking on her today. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat as we progress, or you can send it to us directly if you don't want people to know that you are asking it. And she will then stop me at intervals that we can address the question. So this matter, really blown my mind. Val, I dropped it in the chat. It was not on the screen. So just be
okay,
above
got it.
So this really blown my mind, because I mean, if you look at the history and everybody being so intensive, it has been pushed and said the CPA is applicable to lease agreements. And I mean, this is something that is so common. So when I heard about this matter, I had to investigate, and I had to come and share with this, is it to say, listen, what is happening and how is it applicable? So let's quickly look at what is the current situation. Because I still know there's a lot of people say, yeah, rentals is not, the CPA is not applicable. But if you go and have a look at the CPA, now, just for those who don't know, this is the Consumer Protection Act, but very easily on the same CPA. Rental means an agreement for consideration in the ordinary course of business. That's the first point. In terms of which temporary possession of any premises, so you'll see I put doiki because I didn't want to put the whole thing in, and I wanted to take the parts out that's already applicable to us. The right to use any premises is granted, but does not include a lease within the meaning of the National Credit Act. So there's actually in this very small clause so much information. And I don't think we always go and dissect these type of clauses. So why is this relevant today? Well, I'm intentionally going to skip the first sentence, and we're just really going to we're going to start at the bottom. No, we women, we can do it while we want to. Right? So the National Credit Act refers to movable property. So a normal lease agreement where you're leasing out your property to somebody, that's not governed by the NCA. That is not a credit agreement. That's, again, I think I said it on during our last session, is if you default on your rate, it's not going to show on your TransUnion or your Experian because they know credit agreements. Where a normal lease agreement, where you're leasing out your property, is not governed by the National Credit Act, and it's not a credit agreement. So that's the first thing. The other thing is the services that's being rendered that's related to rental. You are not selling your property to this person. You are leasing, you're giving them temporary possession of the property. And it's important to note that, remember, a lease agreement never has the intention for that tenant to become an owner. And even if you have it in your lease agreement to say they have the option to buy it, you always will have to sign an additional OTP to buy the property. Now, OTP will not be included in the lease agreement because it's either you have the intention of selling it or you have the intention of leasing it. You can always say, I have the intention to maybe later sell it to you, or I want to later buy it. But at this stage, it's a temporary possession that I'm giving to you. And for any other reasons, whether it's breach or termination of the agreement, I can take my property back. I always will stay the owner. I'm not going to transfer ownership of the property. Sorry, I'm sort of jumping to anyone there. And I think that is something important to remember. Just curiosity, I was going to look at how is the CPA describing services and the premises, the access or use of the premises. That is a service, because a lot of people think services is like I'm making pancakes, or I'm coming to fix something, maintenance, or those type of services, or professional services. No, it's by you giving access to person that the house services is determined for rentals. Now you're saying to me this, but I'm actually here for that very first sentence. I'm going to keep this suspense, because that's the very crux of where this case came in, is means an agreement for consideration in the ordinary course of business. But let's park it there, keep the suspense. You can't now go start doing other work, because this is the way it's going to follow. So what do we all know? Section 14, that's very helpful and regulate almost the majority of things that relate to rentals. It says the CPI is applicable if it's a fixed term agreement between parties. And the fixed term should ideally not exceed 24 months. Remember, it can exceed 24 months, but then you have to show that there's benefit for the consumer, the lessee. So in most instances, it's not exceeding 24 months. And most people I see the common norm is usually 12 months. But thereafter they can renew. The other thing is, one of the parties should not, if one of the parties is not a juristic person. Initially, when I drafted this, I wanted to say, remember, if one of the parties are a natural person, the CPA will be applicable. But I realized why they specifically say juristic person. And it's because how the CPA defines as to what is a juristic person. So a trust, a partnership, and all those type of things. Also, it doesn't say the consumer has to be a natural person. So if the consumer is a company and the landlord is a natural person, the CPA section 14 is going to be applicable. So that's the current status. If it's a fixed term, and I think that's all the short reminders, how everything works, that's how we say that normally if it's a fixed term and one of the parties is one of the parties is not a juristic person, then the CPI will be applicable. So that's with regards to this. I just see Val's ask a question. Please distinguish rent to buy contracts. So Val, this session is really focused on, is the CPA applicable to lease agreements? OTP is a one-off contract, and I am even going to be as bold. Those type of sessions should be arranged with somebody like Armand that's got experience in conveyancing, because conveyancing and selling of properties is a total different beast to lease agreements. So that's the focus today is only on the rental. Now, I got the suspense and everybody is super excited. So this case is a very new case. It was heard in 2024 and it was heard in the Western Cape High Court. And the matter was Venter and another versus Elf and another. Now, what happened in this matter was the Venters got employment in Australia and they wanted to move over. So what they then decided to do was they didn't know initially when they moved over whether this is going to be permanent. Are they going to hate Australia? Are they going to stay there? So they decided to lease out their property for while they go overseas. Okay, so that's the initial contract. And it's important because one thing that I always have to say to you, a case has to really be dissected. You can't just say this is the facts or this was the ruling and now therefore it's applicable on everything. Not at all. So the initial contract was entered into, and after the time period of this contract, the lease came to an end. And at that juncture, we came back and said, okay, Centers, the lease is coming to an end. The tenant is staying in the property, is loving it. What are we going to do? The Centers then decided to say, no, no, no. We decided to be immigrating. We're loving Australia. So we want to sell our property. This new agreement is the basis of this ruling. And I have to say, this is more important to know where it comes from. So technically, they no longer want to lease out their property. It's not like they're going to lease it out because they can't get it sold. That's not the circumstance. Circumstances is, I want to sell the property. We want to need to start putting it on the market. We are aware the market isn't per se very good, but we want to sell it. The tenant then comes back and says, okay. But while you advertise and everything, I mean, there's a good possibility that you struggle to get a new, that you get a buyer, or you don't want the property to be vacant. So can we not enter into a new lease agreement on the basis that if the property is sold, you'll give me 3 months notice? Now, the reason why the 3 months is because usually, and Armand, I'm going to now put on your button, is a transfer takes approximately 3 months to take place. I mean, you can really push it if it's no bond and everything, but the normal stance is approximately 3 months. Hey, Armand?
100% correct. Yeah, between 2 and 3 months. Yeah.
Go. So that makes it easy. I love it to have all these experts online. Eh? So that's where the usual thing comes in is the moment the OTP has been accepted and they seem they're qualifying and they're going to start working, they then will give the tenant 3 months notice to vacate. That was the agreement and it's been put in. So lo and behold, what happened in this matter was that eventually they entered into this agreement, and very shortly after they entered into this new lease agreement, the property then got sold. And the tenant then, where the landlords came and they gave the tenant notice to say, yes, the property has been sold, here's 3 months notice, can you please proceed to vacate? The tenant then turned around and go, no. You cannot give me notice because this is a CPA lease. And in terms of section 14, a landlord can only cancel a lease if there's a material breach. Now, in this instance, the tenant has been paying, there is no material breach. The only reason why they cancelled was to say that, listen, we're cancelling because we agreed we are going to sell the property. So that's where the trust really came in. In this judgment, they went and they made this specific notice to say that in this matter, the big thing it came down to was ordinary course of business. On the undisputed fact of this case, it cannot be said the lease was entered into during the applicant's ordinary course of business. You see where it jumps to, and I'm going to be terrible, I'm going to jump. It says a rental means an agreement for consideration in the ordinary course of business. But that made me think about it. And I thought by myself, okay, Lise, but now where's the difference? Because I hear often, yeah, but this is not my ordinary course of business. I'm actually a plumber. I'm actually a lawyer. I'm actually whatever I am. This is not my main focus. So how do you say it's the ordinary course of business? Well, if you lease out your property, if you buy a property, most people, they buy a property if you're an investor with the intention of leasing it out. You want to get a rental income. It's your side hustle. So if you're an investor leasing out your property, that is going to be in the ordinary course of business because you're leasing out your property every month. You're going to get an income, and the purpose is going to be that if that lease agreement is done, you're going to get a new lease agreement until such time that you are going to sell the property. Doesn't mean that you're never going to sell the property. That's the first thing. But at this stage, you don't have it in mind. You don't anticipate of selling the property. So that's for an investor. That's one of the most people that we deal with, owners when it gives landlords instructions. The other one is landlords sometimes say, listen, I cannot afford to stay in this property. I'm not going to sell it, so I'm going to move out and then I'm going to lease out my property. That is also an ordinary course of business. When they make that decision, it's not made on the basis that, listen, I will be selling it in 6 months' time. It's saying, listen, I'm not going to sell, or I don't know when I'm going to sell. So I would rather generate this additional income per month and to get the money in. And that will be the ordinary course of business. So that's the two common landlords that we usually deal with. And then recently we have